السلام الملكي.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض. الله نور السماوات والأرض. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. المصباح في زجاجة. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار. نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم.
صاحب السمو الأمير، صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير عبد العزيز بن طلال بن عبد العزيز آل سعود، رئيس مجلس أمناء الجامعة العربية المفتوحة، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني أن أقف أمامكم اليوم في لحظة تاريخية تشهد فيها الجامعة العربية المفتوحة بالمملكة العربية السعودية بالرياض انطلاقة نوعية باستضافتها المؤتمر الدولي الثاني عشر للشبكات اللاسلكية والاتصالات المتنقلة Wincom'25. هذا الحدث الاستثنائي يعقد للمرة الأولى على أرض المملكة ليؤكد التزامها الراسخ بتعزيز مكانتها كمركز عالمي للابتكار والتحول. أيها الحضور الكريم، إن استضافة هذا المؤتمر تأتي في إطار الجهود الوطنية المتسارعة لدعم اقتصاد المستقبل وتطوير البنية التحتية الرقمية وتمكين الكفاءات البشرية بما يتوافق مع مستهدفات رؤية المملكة 2030. بهذه المناسبة نستمع لكلمة رئيس الجامعة سعادة الدكتور علي بن محمد الشهراني، فليتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على أصحاب السمو، أصحاب المعالي، أصحاب السعادة، أيها الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدنا في هذا اليوم أن نرحب بكم جميعا، وأن أرحب بمعالي المهندس يوسف البسام رئيس مجلس قدم لها الكثير. شكرا معاليكم لحضوركم معنا. تحية وتقدير إلى حفيد الأمير طلال بن عبد العزيز سعادة الدكتور عبد الله السعدون الذي يمثل صاحب السمو. فأهلا وسهلا بكم جميعا. سعادة الدكتورة صفاء، أهلا وسهلا بك وشكرا لحضورك معنا. اليوم يشرفنا أن نرحب بكم. أكثر من 37 جنسية متواجدة اليوم، قدموا بحوثا علمية قبل منها فقط 119 بحث من 700 مشارك، وهذا دليل. أهلا وسهلا بكم العربية السعودية. اليوم نستقبلكم في المملكة العربية السعودية وما فيسرني باسمكم جميعا أن نرفع الشكر لمقام خادم سمو ولي عهده الأمين على هذه الرؤية المباركة وعلى هذه الجهود التي أسفرت عن إنجازات نوعية للمملكة العربية السعودية على استخدام الإنترنت. 99% من السكان يستخدمون. الأولى في الأمن السيبراني ضمن أفضل 3 دول في العالم في جودة شبكة. صحيحين دكتور. المرتبة الأولى عالميا في تعليم المهارات الرقمية. المرتبة الأولى عالميا في استقرار الاقتصاد الكلي. من أعلى 3 دول عالميا في الإبداع، ومن بين أفضل 30 دولة عالميا في إنتاج البحوث العلمية. وهذا سبب كافي لإقامة هذا المؤتمر وهؤلاء العلماء الأفاضل معنا هذا اليوم. السيدات والسادة، عام 1983 أقيمت أو كانت أول مكالمة جوال في العالم. هذا استشراف للمستقبل، وهذا خلق اليوم المؤتمر الخاص بالجوال. استشراف للمستقبل، أرض للابتكار. بعدها ب20 سنة تقريبا أنشئت الجامعة العربية المفتوحة كاستشراف للمستقبل، فهي أول جامعة على يد الأمير طلال بن عبد العزيز رحمه الله، والتي كانت تعني بالتعليم المدمج. هذا الحدثين المهمين يوضحان جليا أهمية المملكة العربية السعودية ووجودها كأرض خصبة للابتكار وللأبحاث العلمية. الجدير بالذكر أن جميع الأبحاث المشاركة من ضمن الأبحاث في منصة الآيت. شكرا للمنظمين. شكر خاص للزملاء في شركة، أهلا وسهلا فيهم. رئيس الشركة موجود، أهلا وسهلا بكم، حياكم الله. شكرا لتنظيمكم، شكرا لحضوركم. شكر خاص أيضا لوزارة التعليم ولمعالي على دعمه لإقامة هذا المؤتمر. شكرا لحضوركم جميعا. وفي النهاية شكر خاص لمن تابع هذا المؤتمر وحرص على إقامته، الأمير عبد العزيز بن طلال بن حفظه الله، الذي كان يتابع بشكل قريب جدا ويدعم البحث والتعليم والابتكار في الجامعة. ولعل من أهم منجزات الجامعة أن أكثر من 100 طالب فازوا في مسابقات هاكاثون على مستوى دوليا. فشكرا لطلبتنا الموجودين معنا، تقدير لهم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
هذا المؤتمر منصة استراتيجية تجمع بين كبار المسؤولين وقادة القطاعين الحكومي والخاص والخبراء الدوليين والباحثين والمتخصصين في مختلف مجالات التقنية الحديثة. نستمع الآن لكلمة راعي الحفل صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير عبد العزيز بن طلال بن عبد العزيز يلقيها نيابة عنه سعادة الدكتور عبد الله السعدون، فليتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أصحاب السعادة والحضور الكريم، يسعدني ويشرفني نيابة عن صاحب السمو الملكي أن أرحب بكم في المؤتمر الدولي الثاني عشر لشبكات الاتصالات اللاسلكية والاتصالات المتنقلة، حيث نجتمع اليوم بين علماء وخبراء ومبتكرين يجمعهم بأهمية المعرفة ودورها في توسيع آفاق الإنسان. وفي هذه المناسبة نستذكر بكل تقدير الجامعة العربية المفتوحة التي تأسست برؤية ثاقبة من صاحب السمو الملكي. وقد نشأت الجامعة في وقت كانت فيه مفاهيم التعليم الرقمي والتعليم عن بعد غريبة على كثير من الدول العالم العربي، إلا أن الأمير طلال رأى ما لم يره الآخرون. آمن بأن التعليم يجب أن يكون متاحا للجميع بلا حدود، مرنا ويستند إلى طموح الإنسان لا إلى جغرافيته. واليوم تقف الجامعة العربية المفتوحة بفروعها المنتشرة جسرا للمعرفة والتعاون، مسهمة في توسيع الفرص ودعم التنمية في المنطقة. إن تنظيم هذا المؤتمر في المملكة العربية يحمل دلالة أعمق، فموضوع المؤتمر شبكات الاتصالات اللاسلكية والاتصالات المتنقلة يجسد المبادئ ذاتها التي قامت عليها الجامعة. فعندما أسس الأمير طلال هذه المؤسسة كان يؤمن بأن المستقبل سيبنى على الاتصال، اتصال الإنسان بالإنسان، الإنسان بالمعرفة، والإنسان بالفرص. وقد أطلق مشروع الجامعة قبل انتشار الإنترنت الواسع، مستندا إلى قناعة بأن التواصل والانفتاح سيشكلان عالم الغد. لذا فهذا المؤتمر ليس مجرد لقاء علمي، بل هو امتداد لتلك الرؤية، ومن خلال تنظيمه كأول مؤتمر علمي دولي للجامعة تؤكد الجامعة العربية المفتوحة رسالتها في دعم الابتكار وتعزيز التعاون الدولي وتمكين أجيال المستقبل، وهو ما يتقاطع جوهريا مع مسيرة وطننا في رؤية المملكة 2030 التي تضع الابتكار والتحول الرقمي وتمكين فالمملكة مستمرة في الاستثمار في البحث العلمي والتقنية وتنمية القدرات البشرية، إيمانا بأن المعرفة والإبداع هما أساس مستقبل ومستدام. ختاما أتقدم بخالص الشكر للجامعة العربية المفتوحة وللجان التنظيمية وللمتحدثين المتميزين ولجميع المشاركين. أسأل الله أن تكون نقاشاتكم ثرية وشراكاتكم ممتدة ومساهماتكم مؤثرة. أتمنى لكم مؤتمرا ناجحا وإقامة طيبة في ربوع مملكتنا الغالية، والسلام عليكم.
أيها الحضور الكريم، إن هذا الحدث يمثل نقلة مهمة في مسيرة المملكة العربية، ويعكس الثقة العالمية بقدرتها على قيادة المشهد التقني في المنطقة. فقد هيأت المملكة بيئة محفزة. نرحب بضيفنا في أولى جلساتنا الحوارية سعادة الأستاذ الدكتور محمد سليم من جامعة الملك عبد الله للعلوم والتقنية، وسعادة الدكتور بندر الرامي عميد كلية الحاسب الآلي محاورا.
I would like first to thank the organizer for inviting me and for giving me this opportunity to present some of our work in the area of connected and connected. In particular, I would like to advocate for the usage of high altitude platform station or a stratospheric platform to bring internet connectivity from the sky. So I know the audience is I think, a mix of technical audience, but also we have some guests. So I will try to be as high level as possible, at least in the beginning of the talk, so everyone can hopefully benefit from this presentation. So I come, and many of our colleagues here in this conference, from the beyond 5G, 6G community. We are working on trying to develop next generation of wireless communication networks. And obviously, like any previous generation, the objective is to push the try to kind of go to higher speed, lower latency, increase the density of connected device per meter square. That's the objective of the next generation, and that's where most of the effort are being done. However, on the top of that, what's unique about beyond 5G or 6G, these are the networks that we'll see kind of emerging in the early 2030s, is that there is a clear objective to close the digital divide. We learned from the COVID pandemic that connectivity, in a way, is the modern face of inequality between those who have and have not in this digital context. And one of the objectives of 6G is to try to connect the remaining 3 billion people. So we live in a world where still about 1/3 population is unconnected or underconnected. So the question we may ask is why this is happening. I mean, there are multiple reasons for this, including social and literacy issues. But if you want to go to the technical and economical aspect, this can be summarized in this graph that I'm showing. What you see here is basically a kind of diagram showing the quality of experience as function of the cost per user in remote low population density areas. If you look at the upper right corner, you see that optical fiber cable give a very good quality of service, but it's very expensive. It costs a lot of money to dig and lay hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers of fiber to reach these remote areas. We are talking about rural areas, hard to reach area. So there is no return on investment. So you'll see a lot of mobile network operator not very much interested in deploying infrastructure in this remote area that tend to be often also. So because of this lack of return on investment, we end up having a lot of gaps in connectivity. Now, when you look at the lower left corner, you see classical geosatellite. By geo, we mean geostationary satellite, have been there for many years. They are mainly there for TV broadcasting, at least among any other application, but they are not designed for two-way communication, internet communication like the Starlink, and we'll talk about that later on. So bottom line, what we are after is the upper left corner, what we call here the global connectivity holy grail. We want very good performance or good quality of experience at a low cost. So affordability is important. How do we achieve that? By basically going towards higher altitude coverage from the space or from the sky, because we cannot do that anymore from terrestrial base stations that have limited basically coverage. So, one second. I'm not sure why it's not working. I'm not able to move to the next slide. It's not okay. I have to press. So often I'm asked, the question is, when we look at this work on connect the unconnected, on rural areas, developing countries, of course, yes, that's one of the main objectives of our research, but actually we are also looking at many other related problems. For instance, what I'm showing here, a variety of other applications where research involving connectivity from the sky is going to be very important. Number one, situation where you have disaster or emergency communication needs. For example, an earthquake or a flood, and overnight you lose your ground infrastructure. Having connectivity coming from the sky, from a satellite, or from a hubs, as we'll mention later on, can be very helpful to the first respondent or to people who are kind of disconnected because of the destruction of the ground infrastructure. Exploration mode. You send explorer, scientists in the middle of nowhere, the Amazon, Antarctica, or even ourselves. If you go for a hike in the nearby forest or desert area, do you want to remain connected? That's a connect and connected type of problems. Military mission often operate in this kind of unconnected environment. The fourth application I would like to highlight, when we talk about connect the unconnected, yes, we are talking about connecting unconnected people, but more generally we are talking also about connecting a variety of unconnected devices, IoT devices, sensors, actuators, in order to basically enable pipeline monitoring or smart agriculture. In a way, we would like to kind of generalize the concept of a smart home, smart building, smart city to something broader to cover smart rural areas in order to enable smart agriculture or environment monitoring in. So yes, connect the unconnected include not only connecting people, but connecting all kind of devices. Another important application that sometimes is overlooked is what we call offloading type of application. What do we mean by offloading? You have a special event, a final of a match, of a football match, a concert, where you have a lot of people coming together for a couple of hours. So the question you ask yourself, should you densify the network in the ground to meet this requirement only for 2 hours? Or, and I think hopefully the answer is yes for everyone, should we just design the network for average type of basically occupancy in a particular area, and when you need extra capacity for only few hours per week, you bring that extra capacity from the sky with a beam coming from a satellite or from a high altitude platform station. So in order, it's a kind of a better way to allocate resource in a more dynamic and an efficient way. Finally, over the next decade, we'll see the emergence of what is being known now as the low altitude economy, meaning by that all kind of drones being used for transportation, for agriculture, to move people like flying taxis. These drones need also connectivity. So when we say here about connectivity, we talk about three-dimensional connectivity. We are going to be required to connect people on the ground, like now, but also people flying at few 100-meter altitude, or IoT device tracking object being carried at few 100-meter altitude. Connecting these kind of vehicles may be challenging from the ground. Connecting them from the sky is an approach that we are advocating for. And finally, as you know, Earth is covered 70% plus by water, and obviously you need to maintain connectivity for all these boats, ships, yachts, etc. And again, connectivity from satellite or any kind of space-based solution is the way to go to bring global connectivity. So as you see, when we talk about connect the unconnected, it's not only about rural and basically developing countries that are lacking connectivity. It is a variety of other interesting applications that are important to every economical sector in any country in the world. Now, the first thing that comes to your mind, at least, there has been quite a revolution over the last few years, basically since 2019, with the launch of the first satellite from Starlink constellation. Starlink is a success story, and indeed, it has been a breakthrough in the sense that now there is global coverage, and that's now the example that everyone is following. So every single country is aspiring to have its own. In the US itself, there is another competing constellation. Their constellation is run by Amazon, is known as Amazon Kuiper. I think they changed their name very recently. They call themselves Leo, but basically it's exactly the same model as Starlink. But we have the Canadian Lightspeed constellation. The European are trying also to start the Iris Square constellation. The Chinese have two constellations, GW and G60. So it's a race where everyone is trying to launch their constellation to bring this global connectivity. And I expect within 5 to 10 years, we'll have all these satellite constellation coexisting and bringing internet connectivity everywhere. However, having said that, I still believe that there are opportunities to do research in other complementing areas. And this is motivated by the graph I'm showing here, where basically I'm trying to advocate for the fact that we don't live in a world where we have what I would call a binary type of dense population. What do I mean by binary type of dense population? So the one extreme is downtown area, Riyadh. Super high dense population. In this case, you don't need satellite. You need towers. The way we are connecting all of us here to, with our cell phone to nearby base stations. So that's one extreme. The other extreme is deep rural or maritime environment, where basically the dense population is very little, few people per tens of kilometers square. Then satellite is really the way to go, because satellite gives you huge coverage. From, Starlink, by the way, is roughly at 500-kilometer altitude. So you have from there a big coverage. You can see the big part of the ground from there. But we have many areas in between where the dense population is not downtown type and is not deep rural. And what we have been advocating for, and we have a series of papers, including the paper I'm highlighting here, where we are saying that actually we need to put platform in between ground and satellite, in between few tens of meters, that's the height of a tower, and the satellite, which is at 500 kilometers. Now, I don't want to be very technical here because, again, we have a mixed audience, but this has been kind of proved in this paper, where we show that if we have a variable dense population on the ground, and if you have a multi-tier network type of coverage, the best way to go is to go for what I call a 3-tier here deployment. You see the orange curve give you the best performance. Here, for the technical people in the room, you see I have the coverage probability as function of distance between a typical origin, and the higher the curve is, the better it is. And you see the upper curve, the best curve, is the curve when you deploy your platform acting as base station. In a way, they are not all at the same altitude. You start with drones basically at a low altitude in downtown. As you move away from downtown, you basically go for drone at a higher and higher altitude. So that leads us to really the main topic I would like to add, which is stratospheric base station. Maybe it's the first time you hear about that, and I hope maybe 10 years down the road you remember when this is going to become kind of a mainstream, that you say, I heard this topic, in this conference. So what is a stratospheric base station? So a stratospheric base station, it's known as a high altitude platform station. Some people also call it high altitude pseudo satellite. So it's a platform operating in the stratosphere. So the stratosphere, as the name indicated, is above the troposphere. We are talking about 20-kilometer altitude from the ground. It's a nice sweet spot in terms of wind speeds, where basically this platform can stay there for weeks, if not for months. They are not on an orbit, so it's not like a satellite. You have to understand that the LEO satellite is on an orbit, and that's why we need a constellation to cover an area. When a satellite leaves, another satellite picks up. Here, they are on a quasi-static, because they have to fly, they are on a small rotation, but basically they are on a quasi-static location. And that's why they are sometimes called high-altitude pseudo-satellite. They come in 3 different shapes, either as balloons, or as airships, or as fixed-wing drones or aircraft. Okay? The vision we have for these hubs is basically shown in the infographics displayed in front of you. So let's assume here we have a kind of a flood, and we have people that have been moved to this refugee camp. So you have these hubs. You can view them as tower in the sky at 20 kilometers. So it's an infrastructure, actually. That's the way you should look at it. It's an infrastructure at 20 kilometer altitude to which you can attach a base station. A base station here we see in green. We are trying to connect these people that have been moved to this region. But because infrastructure, it's not there just to bring connectivity. You can attach to it a radar, and the radar can be used to measure the level of water. You have another hubs here to which you can high-resolution camera that can be used for border control. You can attach different kind of base station, let's say a LoRa gateway to basically connect all kind of IoT device for smart agriculture. You may attach to this hubs a LiDAR for environment monitoring. So think about it as having a tower at 20 kilometer altitude, what you can do with a tower at 20 kilometer altitude. The same thing you are doing with a 200 meter, 150 meter tower. You project that at 20 kilometer with a much bigger. Now, of course, a hubs is not there just to fly and to connect to the ground. It has to be connected. So you need to have what we call feeder link or backhaul link. So you see the two hubs I'm illustrating here. They have a connection either with the satellite mega constellation. We advocate for free space optic as the way to connect these basically hubs, or to the ground via, again, free space optic. Towards the end of the talk, I will tell you why free space optics is, in our view, one good approach to connect these hubs. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I would like to kind of give two arguments to show why hubs have a future. Because often when I talk about hubs, not only myself, few of the kind of argument that comes is, why are you looking at this problem when Starlink can solve all these problems? Okay? That's often the argument that we get when we submit grants or papers. And I have two quick answers. I can spend more time if you want more answers offline. Argument number one, if I ask you what is the hottest topic in non-terrestrial network from satellite today, if you're following the news, you will tell me D2D. So what is D2D? D2D stands for direct to device. That's what every single satellite constellation is trying to achieve today. By direct to device is the ability to connect directly from a standard phone to a satellite such as Starlink. A standard phone, not like a Thuraya, not a modified phone. That's the whole objective. Like how people don't change phones, keep using the same phone in a downtown environment, connected to Wi-Fi while they are in campus, connected to 5G while they are in the city, and connect to a satellite when they are outside the coverage of the city. That's what D2D or direct to device means. This is not easy. Now, what the constellation are offering is more texting, to a certain extent voice, but broadband connectivity is a challenge. The way you can achieve it, either by having huge antenna, maybe some of you know about the AST project in the US. We are talking about 8 meter by 8 meter antenna. The second generation are shooting for 16 meter by 16. These are antennas that you can inflate when they are at full orbit. Obviously, not a very easy thing. And it's not the natural way of doing things because of the fact that satellites are so far from the ground. Or using multiple satellites to do distributed. Whereas from a HAPS, you are just at 20 kilometer altitude. You have a much more friendly, basically, budget link or signal to noise ratio. You can close the budget link easier, and you can achieve direct device in a more natural way. That's argument number one. Argument number two is more of a sustainability argument. And within the sustainability argument, I will give you two kind of reasons from my perspective. Number one, as you may have heard, satellites are creating some issues with the atmosphere. they kind of finish their lifetime. They have a 5 years lifetime. And also, they may end up creating debris that we have to collect from space. The beauty of a HAPS, you can think of them as an aircraft. They go on a mission. When they go on a mission, they connect people, they can radar missions. After a few weeks or few months, they come back. When they come back, they can be maintained, they can be upgraded, eventually they can be retired. So there is no debris we can talk about. So that's the first sustainability argument. The second sustainability argument is a more social equality type of argument. I think we all agree that not all the countries worldwide are space power. Not everyone is the United States, not everyone is China, not everyone is the European Union. People don't have, or countries don't have, the money and the budget to launch this mega constellation, which anyway, to a certain extent, are not very useful to small countries. The mega constellation, most of these satellites are spending their time not on your country, they are orbiting on the oceans. Whereas when you create a fleet or a constellation of HAPS, it is under your control. You have a sovereign technology with gateway in your territory and with coverage only covering your country. And that's what you need at the end of the day. So it gives an opportunity for everyone to access space application, and space is the next frontier. And when we say accessing space, we are talking about connectivity, we are talking about imaging, we are talking about border control. So many things are now enabled from space. We are able to access space from a lower altitude with a more limited budget and with a full sovereign. It's like you're managing like your airline company, because at the end of the day, HAPS are going to be like airships that you can control from your own territory. So, by the way, and this is sometimes the argument that is used against HAPS, and I will tell you why it's not always a valid argument. This whole thing started, at least for me, I learned about HAPS in around 2015. So 2015, there were two major projects that started. One by Google, known as Loon. It was like this balloon that you see on your right. And the other one on the left by Facebook at the time, now Meta, called Aquila, which was a drone. Both actually were technically a success story, in the sense that Loon, for example, was able to connect 500,000 people in Peru, stratosphere. From a business perspective, it was not as expected, because the technology was not as mature, but basically, technically speaking, it was great, and the technology is maturing. When this project started, there were very few HAPS companies. Actually, last week I was in the HAPS Alliance meeting in New York, and there was about 25 companies worldwide, from Japan to the US to Taiwan, actively developing HAPS. So this technology is going to mature, and eventually we'll have reliable HAPS up and running, providing this infrastructure from the stratosphere. By the way, there was an experiment conducted by CST in collaboration with Deutsche Telekom and with SPL a couple of years ago in the Red Sea region here in Saudi Arabia, not very far from Kaust, where basically kind of a 5G experiment was done. It was documented in this paper. And just to show to everyone the capability of a HAPS, so the experiment done here, like again, a year and a half ago or something like that. So like near the Red Sea, you have basically a base station, and you have another base station attached to a HAPS. You have a car moving away. As you see on the kind of, you can look at the upper graph showing basically the throughput of your connection, and the throughput of the connection coming from the blue basically connection, which is the terrestrial connection. At some point, as the car moves away, of course it dies, because you don't have a good line of sight, and the budget link becomes very poor. On the other hand, when you look at the kind of connection coming from the HAPS, it maintains a very good throughput, even if the car is very far. Actually, some of our colleagues were doing connection from a boat and from a helicopter, and the throughput was still very good. So a HAPS at the right altitude can give you a coverage of a few tens of kilometer radius up to 100 kilometers. So you can think of it as a base station at 20 kilometers with 100 kilometer radius. Anyone within that radius can connect to 5G or eventually a 6G type. Now, I will move to a little bit more technical part of the talk because area, but I will try to. So, at the high level, one of the challenges that we have to solve is the challenge of what we call coexistence between stratospheric platform network and terrestrial network. This is something actually that we looked for. It's a problem that we brought to ourselves. So actually, as you know, the main decision about spectrum are done every 4 years in the ITU WRC meeting. So the last WRC meeting happened, and I was part of the delegation that argued for allocating the same spectrum that is being used for IMT to hubs. And this was approved, which means why this is very important. Because again, we go with the argument, we want to use the same phone, with the same chipset, with the same frequencies. We don't want to have special frequency for hubs and special frequency for terrestrial network. So basically, you kind of reap the benefit of the economy of scale, and you keep the same cost connecting to both terrestrial base station and stratospheric base station. But of course, when you create that kind of environment, you will obviously and automatically create potential interference between basically the terrestrial network and the stratospheric network operating in the same set of frequencies. To model that, we recently wrote a paper with where basically we looked at, let's say, a province where we have communities. Within the communities, we assume that people are using basically terrestrial base station, but in between, you have this rural area, suburban area between communities where basically there is no base stations or no terrestrial base station, and we would assume that we'll be relying on these hubs from the sky to bring connectivity to this rural. The whole thing is operating over the same spectrum. So it's a theoretical study based on a tool known as stochastic geometry, which is a powerful tool to analyze interference. And then with that, you can kind of deduce coverage probabilities. So, you know, let me kind of go to the bottom line of the study here. We looked at communities or at cities, and we consider that the boundary is the city is a black circle. And with that, we create 4 categories of users. The first category of users is the green, deep urban user. Then we have the urban users that are close to the rural area, and then the rural user close to urban area, and eventually we look at the deep rural user. And you see how these 4 categories of users benefit from this hybrid network where you have the coexistence of terrestrial base station and stratospheric base stations. So what do you find? If you look at the left figure here, and focus please only on the dash curve, we see here the coverage probability as function of the number of terrestrial base stations. And of course, the higher the coverage probability, the better it is. You see we have, when you look at dash curves, the dash curves is when you don't have hubs. Basically, you are just using terrestrial base station. You see that the deep urban are doing well. The urban that are within the close to rural area but within urban, basically the rural user near urban environment are still doing well. That's the orange curve, dash orange. Why? Because they are still benefiting from connectivity coming from terrestrial base station, not far away from the urban environment. But if you see, the magenta dash curve is 0, which means because there is no terrestrial base station rural area, the coverage is very bad. As soon as you inject hubs, you move from the dash curve to the solid curves. So in an uncoordinated system, by uncoordinated system we mean where a user connects to a terrestrial base station if he or she is within the urban environment, and to a hubs if he or she is outside the urban environment. Obviously, what happens, you see the magenta dash curve kind of goes up to a much better level. That's due to the fact that hubs bring connectivity to the rural user. But what we notice actually is a degradation in the performance of the rural users who are close to the urban environment. This is due to the fact that now the urban base stations are acting as interferers and are decreasing the quality of the signal to interference plus noise ratio, and that's why you see this basically big degradation of the performance of the basically rural users who are close to urban area. Now, how do you fix this problem? You fix this problem by going towards a coordinated system where you force the user to connect not to the closer, let's say, base station by location, but to the base station, terrestrial or stratospheric, that give you at any given time the best signal to noise ratio. If you keep monitoring the two links and connect to the best link at any given time, right away, as you see, the three first category of users are still doing well, and the deep rural user move from 0 to something much better. So the message I would like to convey at the high level, HABs can help bridge the digital divide, but if they're to be deployed in a coexistence mode, in an effective mode, you need to make sure that you design good coexistence, good coordinated coexistence system, so that basically you get the best of both worlds. Now, I think I still have time, and I would like to take the remaining time to advocate for one last technology that also have been struggling, unfortunately, but I think that it has still some good future in the context of non-terrestrial network. This technology is known as free space optics. So free space optics is very simple technology. It's the same technology we use to communicate over fiber optic. Everyone likes to have fiber. Fiber brings high speed. But fiber optics, as the name indicates, it's laser in a waveguide because it's over a fiber optic. You take pretty much the same laser or similar type of laser, but instead of using basic propagation over a waveguide, you use propagation over the free space, the air. And that's what free space optics is all about. Now, it's a technology that is quite mature. It gives you gigabit, if not terabit per second transmission. It's a Ferrari of wireless communication, but it's fragile. It is very much subject to sensitivity to weather conditions, to line of sight availability, and that's why it had a hard time competing RF technology for the terrestrial market. However, as soon as we start talking about non-terrestrial network, satellite, HABs, drones, which means you are pointing toward the sky, the line of sight is pretty much always there. And then a very other important factor that comes into play is a so-called SWAP. SWAP is an acronym for size, weight, and power. Every time you are trying to lift something in the sky or in space, SWAP is a very important constraint that you have to take into account in consideration. So which means you want something that is small, that doesn't weigh a lot, and that is energy efficient. And in that context, FSO is very competitive and will beat any RF technology, because when you operate in the optical band at this very high frequency, very small, tiny wavelength, you can compress things and you can get gigabit, terabit per second with much more efficient type of SWAP parameters. And that's why there is a big future for free space optics for non-terrestrial networks. It's already happening. If you check how the Starlink, because Starlink now, they are already version 2 deployed, version 3 probably being deployed. How the Starlink are interconnected among themselves in the space is via free space optics. How next generation of Starlink, in my opinion, can be connected to the ground is also via free space optics. So free space optics is basically growing quite a bit in that context. There is a little bit of challenge that we have to solve in the way. The main challenge is, again, atmospheric turbulence when we talk to ground to space, because space, Starlink is using it and everyone is going to use that. But the main challenge that we need to solve is how we can secure ground to space, ground to air type of free space optics. That's a kind of perspective we have. That's kind of a satellite. It can be HABs. In one hand, it will be serving end user. These are the yellow beams with RF technology, user using. But the feeder link, the backhaul link that's going to connect satellite to the internet back, will be done via a free space optical feeder link, in contrast to current systems that are using Ka band, which is being saturated.
So just to conclude, to show you basically, because I want to keep basically space for question, this is, at the end of the day, the vision I would like to kind of project, and I hope to see, I would say 10 years from now. It's a vision where we have not only, of course, mega constellation, like it is the case today in terms of satellite, but also we'll have a fleet or constellation of hubs interconnected with free space optics among themselves at 20-kilometer altitude, connected to the backhaul satellite constellation via free space optics up or down via free space optic, connect them to optical gateway station. Again, these hubs are not there only for connectivity. It's an infrastructure in the space to do many more applications, the same way satellite are providing many kind of services. But from a connectivity perspective, they are there to connect mobile user, but also all kind of IoT devices. So with that, I would like to thank you, and I would like to conclude by emphasizing that air and space network is growing at a fast pace in the context of beyond 5G and 6G. And this is not only for rural connectivity, but this is for post-disaster, to connect maritime and aeronautical environment, to be used for urban offloading communication scenario. From a research perspective, there is quite a bit of interesting research, spectrum sharing in MIMO technology from a hubs, for instance, free space optic technology for NTN. And with that, I would like to conclude, and I would like to kind of, we have a UNESCO chair focusing on connect and connect to follow our papers and our kind of workshops and training. And my students also often publish what we call now video article presenting the research, and we have a group web page. So with that, I would like to thank you, and I would like to conclude the session and give you opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. for the insightful and inspiring presentation. حياكم الله جميعا. اليوم يعني اولا ارحب في الجميع، شكرا. في ضيف عزيز علي هو البروف فوشال، وايضا الدكتور مروان. بروف Hassan, or Prof. Foshal, he was my PhD supervisor. So I didn't see him since 10 years. So he just came from France to here. So I would like to welcome him. Thank you so much. So actually you've opened up new horizons for us on the future of the connectivity or global connectivity. What we have here today really highlights on how hubs could transform global communication. So let's dive into some questions to enrich our discussion further. And of course, we would like to welcome any from the audience afterward. So the first question is for you, Prof. Ahmed. What makes hubs a strong solution for closing the global connectivity gap compared to terrestrial networks or satellites?
Yes. So, yes. So I would like to re-emphasize what I said. Terrestrial networks are excellent for highly dense urban environment. So for instance, we all know that for indoor, there is nothing better than Wi-Fi. When you go to a downtown area, you know, of course, like a terrestrial base station on the. When you go to what I call deep rural, maritime environment, satellite is a natural choice. In between, when the density of population is not very high and is not very low, you need platform at an altitude of 20 kilometers that gives you a coverage of 100 kilometer radius And that's basically this in-between solution where HAPS basically can be in this nice sweet spot. So why at 20 kilometer? Why? Because at 20 kilometer you have minimal speeds, you have basically relatively friendly atmospheric turbulence, you are above the troposphere, above the weather, and these HAPS are expected to basically stay there for weeks, if not for months. So that's why there is, and just to make sure I kind of is direct to device paradigm, much easier from a HAPS than doing it from a satellite. Number two, sustainability aspect. There is no debris. You can recover all your HAPS, maintain them, retire them. And number three is this sovereignty aspect. It's, you know, if you rely on a constellation that you don't own, basically this constellation can be shut down at any time because, you know, you a friend of the owner of the constellation. Whereas if you have your own fleet of HAPS, it's like you have your own airline. You basically control the information. You don't have potential jamming or leakage of information if it's a global constellation. So these are some of the advantages of HAPS, right? But, and to conclude, I would like to, and we wrote a paper, by the way, if you're interested, basically submit 3 days ago, to answer exactly this question, because often we get this question. And the answer in the title of the paper is, we call that the 3C paradigm. Okay. What do I mean by the 3C paradigm? When we talk about coexistence of terrestrial, HAPS, and satellite, we have the 3 Cs. What are the 3 Cs? Number one, coexistence. Coexistence is like what I showed.
Yeah.
Basically some area where it's being covered by satellite, area going to be covered by, and basically everyone's doing his job and trying to bring global connectivity. That's the first C, the coexistence. Number two is collaboration. I went a little bit too fast because I want to have more time for question, but what do I mean by collaboration? The HAPS can act as relay for satellite. So, for example, if satellite want to offer direct to device, they can rely on the HAPS to be the first layer to collect information and relay to the satellite. When you have free space optics and you have atmospheric turbulence, the HAPS can help as a way to clean up the FSO signal, retransmit to satellite. So that's a collaboration where basically HAPS help satellite or satellite help HAPS, for example, for backhauling.
Right.
And the third C is competition. There will be some situation and certain environment where the two systems will have to compete and the market will decide which technology will win in certain deployment. So that's, I think, the answer to the question, and we have a full paper on this going through the review process, but already available on our archive.
Thank you so much. The second question, how do we envision HAPS? Integration with existing 5G networks in practice, and what improvements might users notice?
What improvement the user will expect? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I mean, I have to be honest, HAPS is an emerging technology, is not a mature technology. Okay. In contrast to Starlink or satellite, where basically that gap happened. And just to open a parenthesis here, because sometimes also people forget that Starlink is successful because they tried very hard and they did multiple attempts. They were, I was told, and this was confirmed by many sources, one trial away to shut down the whole project. The project was successful, and Starlink is what Starlink is today. Just to tell you that often a technology is not mature, is not successful from the get-go. That's actually how it works. I remember when I was a PhD student myself, 1998, 1999, a lot of the keynote presentations were about satellite at that time. And people were talking about Global Star, Iridium, Teledesic. Maybe some of you of my time remember this. Many of these constellations either failed or went bankrupt just a few years after that. That's 2000. Add to that 20 years, you get Starlink. So the first attempt of LEO constellation was not a real success, but the technology matured in between, more trials, more maturity in the technology. Eventually, it's a success story. HAPS, we are not in the 2000 of satellite. I think we are a little bit ahead of that. We need more years to solve this problem so that we can achieve what you want to. The three issues we need to solve for HAPS is reliability, because one of the main challenges, I told you, getting to the stratosphere is a sweet spot. So often once you are there, actually you are safe. The problem, when do you have most of the accidents, is going there or coming back from there. Because we are talking about very light structures that basically tends to be shaken in the atmosphere as they go in the troposphere to the stratosphere. There are accidents. So we need to make this structure more reliable. Second is endurance. You want to stay there for weeks, if not for months. So which means that's kind of a challenge that leads us to the third point, which is energy. How you are going to be able to generate enough energy at 20 kilometer altitude via solar or hydrogen fuel cell. Once this is available, I think, as I mentioned in my presentation, I would like to emphasize here, it's beyond connectivity. It's like you are putting a tower at 20 kilometers and you start, and my vision actually, to be honest, and I'm not sure it's going to work like this, but, and I would like to disconnect or decouple the infrastructure from telecom. Telecom is just one important application of HAPS, but HAPS is an infrastructure like a tower in the sky. Like, for instance, now, in many countries, including Saudi Arabia, you know, for example, a company called Tawel, so, or Tower USA. So what is their job? Their job is to make sure to select good site for towers, clean the tower, make sure the tower has enough power, so that basically the STC of the world, somebody come and put their, or someone put a camera, someone put a radar. Same thing. In the future, there will be this company who will have maybe tower in the stratosphere. They will maintain them, they will make sure they have enough power, and they will have a payload that they will rent to telecom operator, but also maybe to people who want to put a camera for border control or a radar for environment monitoring and so on.
Great.
So that's the vision I see for HAPS.
Yeah, I like towers in the sky, so it is, yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. My last question from my side, and we will give some. It is based on your field trials. How close are HAPS to real-world deployment, and what key technical challenges remain?
Very good. So, yes, Japanese are the, Japan is the country that invested most in HAPS. And the simple reason, because Japan is a country that is very sensitive to, natural disaster like tsunami. So they took it as a serious kind of investment. And they are, in my view, the country that will be the first to deploy. So again, last week was the biggest HAPS annual meeting. It was in New York, and there was a lot of people showing their progress. And according to the Japanese SoftBank, SoftBank is like they are starting commercialization 2026, next year, but for post-disaster, emergency, temporary event type of deployment. Yeah, special purpose. They are doing that in collaboration with, again, as I mentioned, there are different technologies. There is the balloon, there is the kind of airship, there is the glider. They are using like an American company called Sky, who use a kind of airship type of technology as a starting point. In their mind, by 2030, it will be basically the time where they will start deploying more massively HAPS. But globally, there are now, again, the maturity level is, there are some companies that are clearly doing much better than others. And my expectation, just to be on the safe side, 10 years from now, it will be like what we are seeing with Starlink now. Okay, so that's my, from seeing at the level of maturity of different technology.
Yeah, great to see the application already have been used. Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Mohammed. Now we can have some questions from the audience. Please, the mic for both male and female. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mohammed Salim. It's a very good talk. My name is Yassine El Hilali. I'm from the Polytechnique of France. The idea is very interesting. I have just many questions. I will ask just one. You presented one slide. We'll jump between two links, terrestrial one and satellite one. It's like a handover between the. Can you extend the idea and imagine a very large MIMO systems between the terrestrial antenna and satellite antenna?
Yeah, that's the part I skipped. So
exactly, this is what I say to my colleagues.
Yeah.
The very interesting.
Yeah, because I want to be a little bit more about the audience, but definitely you can, and that's why I mentioned in my conclusion that all the, and I assume that you're coming from a MIMO, from a kind of adaptive antenna background, multiple antenna background. Yes, you can use the same techniques we have been using successfully in the terrestrial world from the sky, and you can even coordinate MIMO between the ground and the space. And that's an active research area. So we have a paper, I can give you the slide. But what I would like to highlight is MIMO from HAPS is a little bit different. Because you are beaming basically information from 20 kilometer altitude. So one of the research topics that we are looking at, and many people active in this area, is what kind of shape or what kind of structure the MIMO antenna should have. So for instance, like when you look at SoftBank, they advocate for a cylindrical shape. Okay, we are looking. Professor Halim in Carleton, one of the leaders, also has been looking at the semi-hemispherical MIMO system. We are looking at other kind of form factors, trying to look at the optimal way to design MIMO from the stratosphere.
What I said is MIMO.
Yeah, yes, you can also coordinate that, and you can also allocate and design jointly MIMO from the stratosphere and from the terrestrial, and allocate power and weights in a way to maximize the sum rate of the whole network. That's actually the spirit of the paper.
Okay. Thank you so much, because there is no more time for us. So we will close the session, and we have more in store, and stay with us for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
والآن مع ثاني جلساتنا، ونرحب بضيفنا نائب المدير التنفيذي لشركة هواوي السيد ووهان، وسعادة أستاذ الدكتور خالد السويس عضو هيئة التدريس في كلية دراسات الحاسب الآلي بالجامعة العربية محاورا لهذه الجلسة.
Hello, check the microphone. Okay. So before the Q&A, maybe I. So okay, I just stand for the presentation. Is that, if you allow me? Thank you so much. So thank you for the excellent presentation. And Huawei, as a leading company for the wellness. Mostly at this kind of the forum, we will talk about the technology, Huawei. But today, I want to start from another perspective about it, because no matter what kind of technology, what kind of the direction of technology in the future, no matter 6G, no matter LEO, no matter AI, from our perspective, the Thailand is most important. And we still keep in our mind, there's the word from His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince MBS. He mentioned before that the kingdom's future is not in the oil, it's in the young people's mind. So this has inspired us a lot. That's why Huawei, we invest a lot for the young people. in the kingdom. And today, I prepare very short slides, one about what we have done before and what we are doing in the future about the ICT Thailand. And also the first slides, thanks for the MCIT support and also all the universities in support Huawei. And this year, we just renewed our future space to the Future Scale Center with the kingdom. And this center in the future, we will aim to cultivate the AI capability in the kingdom. And this is some numbers from the Thailand team of Huawei, and in the several years, not all the years, several years, and $4.3 million for this center, including the courses, including the resources of the learning and teaching and all things. And the annual training will cost more than $500,000 in these future scale centers. And the total training participant is more than 10,000, and the number is still increasing more with all the universities. And also not only universities, but also some engineers from our customer, like from Aramco, STC, Mobile Zen, and all these clients, also they are participating different kind of the training with Huawei together. And this center also is open for the publics. So this in the Russian front. So the total visitor is more than 30,000. It means that even you are a visitor, you walk around at the Russian front and you want to take a look and what is in we are showing inside, you can just register and then you can walk in. So about the AI technology experience immersive, today, Huawei's AI chipset is already available in our cloud data center in the Riyadh. Now today we can provide the AI capabilities, no matter training or inference, for the local clients. And in the future, our hardware equipment also Saudi as well to provide the AI capabilities. So in the future scale center, also we will make more and more the real practice of the AI, not only the knowledge on the paper, but also the real training and the real practice for the young students in our future scale center. And also we will keep more cooperating with universities. Like we have some director explorer like Huawei HCIA, AI for courses curriculum, and advanced AI hub infrastructure, and large language model, and foundation AI. And what I would like to mention here, and the AI is always not only one company. No matter Huawei, no matter NVIDIA, no matter Grok, Google, the AI is always an ecosystem. So in the future, based on the Huawei's AI, and more China AI company and the ecosystem will come to Saudi. We are doing this kind of the work, and come like a DeepSeek in China, and also a lot of applications of the AI, and a lot of AI startup companies who work in the industries. They will come to Saudi in the future as well. And Huawei will try our best to become the bridge between the China and the Saudi kingdom for the AI ecosystem. And also, this is also the important part we pay a lot of attention. It's about the strategic human capital investment, because the most important target for the young Thailand training is to make them to become a real talent in the industry. So here, the first number is 45,000 more, and building the foundation and advanced ICT competence. And we work more than 30 universities from MCIT and from the TVTC and from all the universities, including the trust to Huawei. And also every year, Huawei, we have the program in our own company in the kingdom, only in Saudi, we call it Future Leaders. Future Leaders is a program from our HR team to recruit the graduates the excellent graduates from all the universities in the kingdom. Till today, we already recruited more than 450 future leaders from the universities, from like KSU, KFU, AOU, different universities. This program is very special in Huawei. It's different, you know, from the social recruitment, or like we are Chinese staff from China. This is the only design for the local Saudi graduates, and we have a series of the cultivation and the development plan for these young peoples. When they join Huawei, they have the trial time. So after probably half year or 1 year, then they can decide what kind of the position is. For example, if you go to the technical direction, you go to the finance direction, you go to human resource direction, you go to the GA direction. We have different positions and jobs in our companies you can choose. We try to find the way to cultivate the real modern leaders of the company from Saudi in the future. And also, because of our continuous contribution as a talent, we are so honored to get the first award. We call it King Khalid Responsible Competitiveness Award, which is granted by the King Salman. So this is let us feel so honored, and we are the first international company to win this award at 2018. And here are some executive summary what we have done in this year. Till now, since now is the end of the 2025. So this year, for the ICT Thailand participate in Saudi, more than 8,000 students participate. And also we signed a new MOU with 5 universities, including especially AOU. We signed the MOU in our headquarters during the competition. And also we are working with different universities and PVTC as well, and MCIT. We bring a lot of young people and some engineers from the governments to China, to we call it GTC, Global Technical Center of Huawei in Hangzhou City. So we bring them to our lab, we bring them to the industry environment to learn the knowledge which is different from the paper, from the books. And also the Huawei ICT competition, 1,700 students to participate. Now we are on the stage of the national competition. And next is a regional competition, I mean Middle East and Central Asia. And the next year, at the beginning of next year, it will be the global final. And as we can see, the Saudi students also get a very good award. And especially they win the excellent the lady team from global, from the Saudi universities. So there are some, this is just part of the plan of Huawei training and development for the kingdom in the next year. Since this year, November 2025, we will start the training programs, and at the beginning of next year, we will start the AI and machine learning. And also we work with MSIT and the DGA as well. We will just to announce the plan of the 100 CXO levels AI training in our headquarters and in China. And also we have different kind of, I will not mention one by one, but you can see on the, and this is just part of our training program in the kingdom for the next year. And also we have different kind of the curriculum design for the young people, like including the artificial intelligence and also the Open EULA. And allow me to take minutes to explain what is actually Open EULA is the open source operating system. In China today, it's widely used in the main banks in China, the main operators like China Mobile in China. They are developing their own operating system based on EULA, the open source system. This is the open source operating system which is facing the future architecture of the devices. It's not like, for example, the traditional Windows is for PC, Android is for mobile, and also the iOS is for mobile as well. Every equipment is separately by different operating system. And the Open EULA, this is facing for the future scenarios, like we always say, everything connected, no matter IoT, no matter PC, no matter pad, no matter even your TV, even your car, even your mobile, everything will connected and everything will run on one operating system. And this is why we work with China MIT, which is counterpart for this operating system. And what makes me happy is the OpenOla also we start today as well with MCIT and STC, and they are doing the trial to based on this operating system. Based on the OpenOla open source, in the future, we do believe Saudi can make your own Saudi-made operating system. This is very important and critical for the kingdom to control your own operating system in your own hands. And also the OpenGOS is for the database and the datacom vendors. So this is my last page. Also, is still ongoing, and all the universities is participating. And the national final will be the 16th December. Next step, we will select the excellent student who get the good performance in the national competition to participate in the regional. I mean, the Middle East and the Central Asia, more than 20 countries to participate together, compete together. And then the students of the winners will go China, go to Shenzhen, which is a city of the Huawei headquarters, where we will have the global competition. The Saudi students will go Shenzhen to compete with the excellent students from China, from Europe, from Africa, from North America, from all the countries together to compete. And I do hope that at the beginning of next year, when the global final, Saudi students can get a very good performance and awards. And because I'm Chinese, I'm representing Huawei, but when I go back to headquarters, I always talk to them, I represent Saudi. I represent Saudi Arabia. Because I work here, I'm based in Riyadh. So this is just my brief, but I want to emphasize again is Huawei as a company who came to Saudi 24 years before. We came to Saudi at 2002. At that time, Saudi is not like today. So we witnessed how Saudi developed so fast, especially since 2017 and 2018 started open. And we are so proud to work in this kind of the great country and to develop and grow up. So the key is the young people. This is our responsibility to work with all of you together to make the young people in Saudi be better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rohan, for this fruitful and showing how Huawei is actually taking to contribute to future. My question, the first one, is actually regarding how Huawei, with all these impressive engagements with universities, and how Huawei is making sure that the outcome of this program is aligned with the market needs and the job shifts as well.
So actually, this is quite a question, and lots of people, they ask me. Because the ICT talent program in Huawei also, we involved several times during this, because we start our training program 10 years before, 2015. So at the beginning, it was a pure training. Like we provided the online course, we provided the like 4G at that time, like datacom at the time, just like single direction to deliver the knowledge to the students. And finally we find it didn't work very well. As you mentioned, we must relate it to students, to the real industry, to real scenario of what is the society need, what is the company need. So after that, we add more and more parts of our ICT talent program. Today, what it look like is this long journey and a circular journey. We start from the ICT training. This is knowledge delivery. And after ICT training, there will be the ICT competition. Students can participate in the competition to check what kind of the position of them in Saudi, in region, in the world. And after that, the excellent students also will give them the free voucher to participate in the certification competition. They can get the certification. No matter from AI, no matter from datacom, no matter from 5G, they can get their own specific areas certification. They need to do a lot of tests and something like that. This certification is good for them to get a good job once they graduate. No matter in Huawei or in STC, And after certification, Huawei also, we hold the job affairs with many universities. We want to recruit the students from the universities. We provide opportunities of job for them, like I mentioned, the Future Leaders Program. And after that, no matter they join Huawei or they join other companies, for example, also we will get some feedback from them. What's your feedback about your feeling you work here? For example, you are the network engineers. So what kind of the gap you think your real work and what you're being trained before in university? Then this feedback can help us to optimize our training program every year. So I think this closed circle journey can help us do more and do better for the ICT Thailand. And also, the final target is make the students feel better and more tied with the.
So there is a clear interaction with different stakeholders in order to enhance the outcomes of these programs. My second question is actually on behalf of our students. Okay. Now they are asking, what are the skills that they need now and in the next decade?
Next decade?
Yes.
It's not an easy question, to be honest. If I can ask this question, because this is the, the skills which is needed in the next, for example, 10 years is really hard, because everyone is witness the revolution of the AI. Everyone is discussing what AI will change. And also, I watched the video which his conversation with Jason Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, and during the MBS with the US. Also, from Huawei's perspective, I try to learn more from our China company. So, to be honest, what I can feel is everyone is feeling the change of the AI. Someone felt excited. Someone felt a little bit panic. Will my job be replaced by AI or not? So, get back to your question from a student. If I were a student here, I will do my best in two aspects. One is this is actually what I was thinking in the research. The first one is to converge more knowledge from different industries. Why I have this kind of thinking? Because if I look my clients, Huawei clients globally, what do they need? Because we provide a solution for them. Their needs is getting more and more converged. For example, in the future, one of clients, they just want the technology in this specific domain. But today, they always ask us, what is the relationship of 5G and AI? Can they combine together? It's not separate. And how to make the, for example, my client is one of the bank. They ask us how to combine AI with mobile money, with mobile banking. And our clients, including the hospital, they ask us how to combine AI or IoT technology with remote diagnosis, with the modern medical solution. So this inspired us that in the future, probably one of the directions is our students, you should, besides of your own major, for example, you should learn more and more industry knowledge, more know-how from different industries. It will help you to become a real talent that company will pay attention. Because if only one specific direction, it can just narrow your field. This is the first one. The second one is creation. Be a creative guy. Because obviously, the AI will replace the copy job. Now, today, AI is very easily to generate a video, to generate a photo, to generate an article. So today, even in our own company, in Huawei, our internal OA system is powered by AI. For example, my meeting, my email, and also the personal assistant is all driven by AI. So this kind of job is easily replaced by AI. Even AI can do better. So what is the things cannot be replaced by the AI? I think the creation is very important. Because for myself, sometimes I review myself. For example, I have my team. Sometimes, I think about whose job maybe AI can do better than him. Whose job? No, I need him. He cannot be replaced by AI. So sometimes, you change your angle. If you are a management, the guy from your team whose job can be easily taken by, replaced by AI, who cannot, then you will know what I should do. Maybe from my upper management, he look at me like this. Does Wuhan job can be replaced by AI? If yes, fire him. If not, promote him. So something like that. So we need to change the angle to think about the, especially AI is the key factor which is change the game in the future.
Thank you. And this is actually what I would like to emphasize here, since our students are here. We also encourage our students to work on multidisciplinary projects where they integrate AI with different domains or in different domains, including education, management, health, pharmacies. We have different projects that actually reflect what you have mentioned just now. I would like to open the floor for our audience if they have any question. Yes, please, the mic.
Hello and thank you. I have a question about AI application or something like that. Is artificial intelligence truly modern development, or has it been around for years, considering that several older technologies and applications related on early forms of AI?
Sir, can you repeat your question again?
Is artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence truly a modern development, or has it been around for years, considering that several older technologies and applications related on early forms of AI?
If I can explain the question. He said AI is there for a long time ago.
Yeah, sure.
What makes it special now?
Actually, yes, I get your point, but I'm thinking about how, because this reminded me another thinking. Last time I reported, since AI appeared for even I think much more than 4 years, right? Actually, it's a long time, but it just became very hot in the recent years because of the ChatGPT, because of the DeepSeek and the NVIDIA's market price. So everyone is looking at AI. But AI is not a new thing, to be honest, from our technology company's perspective. But what AI changed and what, how do you say? Let me give an example to you. This is also some observation from Huawei's perspective. Today, the two leading countries in the world of AI, definitely US and China. But if we think about what is the AI's value in the industry or for society, China and the US, they are doing the different way. And US, they are really good at the technology innovation. They have lots of great companies like NVIDIA, Grok, and Microsoft, and they have the very strong startup companies like OpenAI. Even today, we cannot say OpenAI is startup company. It's also another. And they are very good at the large language model. And get back to China. China, DeepSeek developed very fast, and China also they have like AI computing and GPU, NPU like Huawei and some other companies like Alibaba. And the difference is China today, they are widely using AI in the industry because China is the largest industrial country in the world. And the last time I remember, I saw a report that China take part more than 60% of the industry power in the world, even one country. So today, what we can see, and also this is what we are doing. We are doing with some company like DeepSeek for the large language model, right? You chat with them, you talk with them, you ask with them. This is the one scenario, but this is not the real scenario. China paid. What we are doing mostly, and not as famous as DeepSeek. We are working with a lot of banks. We are working with a lot of mining companies. We are working with a lot of steel companies, and we are working with lots of manufacturing companies. We're trying to use the AI to change the game of the industry, how to improve the efficiency, how to reduce the cost. And today we can say we did quite good in the industry. There are lots of cases, probably you can search on the internet, how AI changed. For example, I'll give you one example, like in the steel mining industry, there is a giant company in China, the largest one, called Shanghai Baowu Steel Company, which is the manufacturing the steel for the industry. And in the past, they have the big oven. You always see this kind of industry like factories, which is to make the steel to be more and more pure, something like that kind of. And even as the largest company in China, in the past, what they did is based on the experience, the engineers' estimation and experience, how much the temperature should be now, and then these all controlled by the human, and then they get the AI in the system. AI tell them what the temperature should be now, what the temperature should be next day to make the steel pure, better, something like that. Based on this solution, this company every year, if I remember correct, every year they save the cost several million US dollars only for this one technology, and the accuracy increased a lot. So get back to your question. Definitely, no one denied that AI is a but for my personal understanding, how AI really generates the value for the society, which to take in different perspectives. Some people, they can look at AI as a funny thing. They want to talk to the AI. They want to ask questions to AI. Some of the people, they're looking for how make the AI combine with the industry to generate more productivities. And I do believe this is the important, and I think this is the direction that in the future, probably Kingdom can cooperate with China together. And China can share experience how put the AI to the industry, because this is our advantage to be honest. But everyone, you can have your different understanding perspective of it. But if it can generate the value by yourself, that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you for the clear answer, Mr. Wuhan. Due to
thank you. It's not just a quick. Salim Bagadim, the Vice President of Academic Affairs and Research.
Thank you.
It's honors to have you here, Mr. Wuhan, and also we'd like to thank you and Hawaii for the support of the university. We are looking forward to enhance the cooperations between Arab Open University and Hawaii, deeply seeking for chances for our students in finding positions at Hawaii overseas, not just. This would open doors for further and deep cooperations. Also, we are seeking further chances of deep research topics or significant cooperation in research, patents, joint research topics, something like that. So highly appreciate your support and looking forward for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just allow me to answer. It's not a question actually. First of all, we do appreciate the trust from the AOU Huawei to give us opportunity together, no matter for the training or, as you mentioned, the job opportunities. Yes, no matter AOU or other universities, if your students, graduates, they join the Huawei, if they are willing, they can work in Huawei office globally, because today we have our business in more than 170 countries all over the world. Every country almost you can find, even some island, you can find the Huawei office, because we cover the telecom network for global, for more than 3 to 4 billion people in the world. So we are glad that the Saudi people, they join us, and Asia, the one working in China. For Huawei, internally, this transfer is no any obstacle, and also can help them to become more international. And second, about the deep research and even like some patent cooperation. Actually, Huawei is very glad and willing to work with Saudi universities in this kind of the part, because to be honest, and also we are so regret to say, in the past, Huawei's R&D we widely distributed in. We have cooperation in Russia for the mathematics. We have cooperation in Paris for the mathematics and art. We have eternal R&D lab in the Italian, in Milan, and we have some software R&D center in India. Also, we have software R&D center in Silicon Valley in the US. It's always global, but in the past, not so much in the Middle East. And also a lot of universities in China. And everyone knows because we are still in the entity list of the US since the political issue. So today, we are so, it's really a pity that we don't have this kind of a lot of US universities. Even before we work very well and good partner each other. This is not the university's fault, it's not our fault, but it's the fact today. So that's why we are looking for more and more potential university partner in the Middle East. And today in Saudi, we already started our journey several years before. We are working with COST in Jeddah. We are working in with the KFU as well, and also the KFUPM in Daman as well. And of course, AOU is our partner. And later, also I will ask my team to connect with our headquarter R&D team and to check with your team together if there's any topic, any direction of the research can match each other, the resource, the knowledge, the professor. If they can, of course, we are willing and we are happy to work with AOU and all the university. Thank you.
So at the end, and looking for further cooperation in the coming time, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you.
نائبا عن صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير عبد العزيز بن طلال بن عبد العزيز آل سعود، فليتفضل سعادة الدكتور عبد الله السعدون، معالي المهندس يوسف البسام، وسعادة الأستاذ الدكتور علي بن محمد الشعراني لتكريم المشاركين. أستاذ الدكتور محمد سليم، السيد ووهان، السيد باسكال لورنز، شركة هواوي يستلمها نيابة عنهم السيد ريان نائب رئيس المبيعات وإدارة الشركات. السادة قناة الإخبارية يستلمها نيابة عنهم الأستاذ عبد الرحمن الموسى. السادة قناة روتانا خليجية تستلمها الأستاذة ندى نبيل. ومترجمات اللغة الإنجليزية دانيال العرفشة. وحسناء العروسي. ومقدمكم عتيق محمد المالك. ومترجمة لغة الإشارة الأستاذة نور الزهراني. وفي الختام يؤكد هذا المؤتمر أن المملكة نحو مستقبل تقني مزدهر يقوم على الإبداع والابتكار والتطوير المستمر، ونأمل أن تسهم مخرجات هذا اللقاء الدولي بإطلاق شراكات جديدة وأفكار رائدة ومبادرات نوعية تخدم وطننا وتعزز مكانته على خط. نسأل الله العون والتوفيق، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم. مقدم الحفل هو أحد طلبة الجامعة العربية المفتوحة. الشركة اللي نظمت الحفل هي مش شركة، هم طلاب الجامعة العربية المفتوحة. شكرا للمنظمين، شكرا للمنظمين، شكرا للمترجمين، شكرا لزملائي المنظمين والطلبة. دعوني بس، ترى ما سويت شيء بس تكلمت، وشكرا لهم. شكرا مرة أخرى لسمو الأمير عبد العزيز، شكرا والذين يعتذران عن حضورهم الارتباطات توافقت مع هذا. شكرا لمعالي المهندس على دعمه الدائم، شكرا لسعادة حفيد الأمير طلال ودائما داعبين للجامعة، فشكرا لكم.